It's down the road. Hi, everybody. An auspicious beginning to this program. It is Wednesday, the 27th day of February 2019. This is Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. I'm Dan Kuntz, your host. Thanks for starting your day here with the NCW Life Channel. It is the middle of the week, but almost the end of the month, and we're ready for another day of winter weather. In fact, just about an hour ago, the National Weather Service updated their weather forecast. We have some fresh graphics to show you. They have upped the possible snow amount. That's your forecast for today. That's what we're looking at right now. 23 degrees, by the way. This is the weak storm system. It's going to bring light accumulations to most of the area. But the second storm, that's your snow forecast for today. As you can see, the Wenatchee Valley really not going to get much. Most of it's going to be south of us, and then around in the Lewiston, Clarkston, Pullman area. So not a lot of snow today, but tomorrow, Thursday, that's another story altogether. Take a look at that, especially up in the Omak, Okanagan area. You're going to get quite a bit of snow. Here in the Wenatchee Valley, well, we're going to get more snow. We're going to get anywhere from 1, 2 to 3 inches of snow tonight, spilling into Thursday morning. You see it says Thursday snow forecast. Most of the snow that we're going to get is going to be in the overnight hours, the wee small hours of Thursday. It should taper off by about 6 o'clock tomorrow morning, but tomorrow morning's commute could get a little on the dicey side. And then we kind of dry out and quite a bit of sunshine for the weekend. The one constant, again, and it's been this way for a month, is cold temperatures. In fact, the entire lower 48, with a couple of small little pockets way down in the south, is everybody's going to be seeing temperatures either below normal or well below normal. There's a big Arctic blast that's affecting almost everybody in the continental United States. Yesterday's high in the Wenatchee Valley was 25 degrees, or normal high for yesterday would be 46. So we were 21 degrees below our normal high. Yesterday's low was 14. Our normal overnight low was supposed to be around 30. So 16 degrees below normal. Can't bust out of this cold stuff. Just can't do it. Believe it or not, I hate to be the bearer of bad news because I think most people are pretty much done with winter. They're ready for spring. This is supposed to last through like March 12th, these abnormally low temperatures. This is going to go on for another at least couple of weeks, if not longer. Sorry, don't shoot the messenger, please. Don't shoot me at all, for that matter. I don't want to get shot. Doesn't sound like it's a lot of fun. I got news, got sports. Eric Granstrom has put together a nice little report. We're previewing state basketball. This is the big weekend. It starts today down in Yakima and in Spokane. We'll talk about that when we get to sports. We also have Today in History, the obscure holiday birthdays. Everyone is entitled to Mike McNally's opinion. And yesterday afternoon, Cal FitzSimmons, our news director, conducted an interview with Senator Brad Hawkins. Cal was in the studio. Brad was in Olympia. They conducted the interview during Skype, via Skype. Technology is a beautiful thing, scary at times, but it works for us. So Cal FitzSimmons in his conversation with Senator Brad Hawkins will be in the second half of the program during the conversation segment. If you're ready, I know I'm ready, and I know Megan's ready, let's take you around the valley with our Valley View cameras. Whenever we can use the cross camera to begin our tour, we do so. We call it the cross camera, of course, because it's located about 75 yards east of the cross at the very tip of Wenatchee Heights, looking over the Wenatchee Valley proper. Everybody is covered in snow, and as I mentioned before, we're going to get another dose of it. A little bit of light snow today, nothing more than half an inch, and then upwards of possibly 3 inches of snow tonight into Thursday morning. Don't say we didn't warn you. Good looking shot there. Camera 2 is a shot of the Omi Gardens area. It's, the camera is located at the very tip of the Omi Gardens complex. The Stamilt campus is down there, easy to see. The Yonabashian Bridge, East Wenatchee coming into view very nicely, kind of shooting directly across from the cross camera. Pardon the pun. Good view from Omi Gardens. Camera 3. Where are we going, Megan? We're going to Billy Goat. Why not? And this is an incredible view there. Can't see Bridgeport. Of course, Bridgeport is tucked behind the ridge, but you can see Pateros at the bottom of your screen. You can look up a little farther up and you can see Brewster. And the Alta Lake Golf Course is at the bottom of your screen, covered in snow, I'm afraid. And as I mentioned this before, we can't really look up the Methow Valley Wish we could. Of course, you can see the river emptying into the Columbia, but the support tower and the guy wires that the camera sits on blocks our view. Nothing we can do about that. Camera 4. Let's say good morning to... Okay, let me think. I'm looking. I should probably know this. I don't know this. Megan, help me out. I'm sorry, Megan, I didn't get that. I can... Oh, that's the Rock Island camera. Oh, wow. Okay, moved. Wow, usually with the Rock Island camera, we can see the golf course and the ponds, so that's been adjusted quite a bit. So good morning to the lovely hamlet of Rock Island, Washington. The Rock Island line, by the way, is a mighty good line, if you didn't know about that. 6 minutes after the hour, let's take a look at your weather forecast from the National Weather Service. And as I mentioned before, one storm system comes in today. Not a lot. Big story is going to be tonight. Overnight tonight into Thursday, here comes the snow. So during the day today, excuse me, we're going to get a little bit of snow. It's going to be later on this afternoon, maybe 5 or 6 o'clock, right around sunset. So during the day today, we're not expecting any kind of snow. But tonight, the snow comes. It'll snow pretty good overnight till about 5 or 6 o'clock on Thursday morning, anywhere from 1, 2 to 3 inches, possible 22 for the overnight low. Thursday, proper, mostly sunny for most of the day. The snow should be done by, mid-morning. Sun will come out. We'll top off at 33. Friday, 33. Quite a bit of sunshine. Partly sunny Saturday. High of 30. Sunday, sunshine, 27, 28, 29. These are cold temperatures. Remember, Friday is March. High school began their spring sports practices on Monday. Inside, for the most part. I'm sure winter has made a remarkable comeback for the month of February. That's your forecast. Let's take you up to the major mountain passes, courtesy of the Washington State Department of Transportation. That's a live shot of I-90 right now. No advisories, no restrictions. The roadway mostly bare and dry. Big story on I-90 right now. It's very windy. Gusts as high as 25 miles an hour up at the summit of I-90. Stevens Pass right now. Traction tires are advised. This is a live shot of Stevens. Roadway pretty much bare and dry. You're going to find some snow and ice in places. Again, traction tires are advised. Looks pretty good to me right now. Blewett Pass, I think we're going to have a shot. Yes, look at that. There's a snow plow from the DOT with a little bit of the de-icer, the brine on the back of it. Blewett Pass right now. Traction tires are advised. Roadway is bare and dry with some snow and ice in places. So we do have a traction tire advisory on Stevens, as you see there, on Blewett that you just saw there. You also have a traction tire advisory, I-90. You're good to go. Forecast for the passes today, just a little bit of snow, an inch tops on the mountain passes. That's all they're going to get. A couple of inches tonight, about a half an inch on Thursday. In fact, we may get more snow down here than the passes. That doesn't happen very often, but it's a possibility. So they're not expecting a lot of snow. An inch here, an inch there over the next 48 to 54 hours, and then over the weekend, no snow at all in the forecast. No advisories on I-90. Traction tires advised on Stevens and Blue. We're going to take a 1-minute break. When we come back, it's your Wednesday morning news. You're watching Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. Live this morning from Studio 15 in downtown Wenatchee on the NCW Life Channel.
Hello, my name is Nathan Schreiber. I'm a physician here at CVCH. My specialty is family medicine, which is a pretty general specialty where I get to treat all walks of life, newborns, children, women, adults, elderly, everything in between. I have additional training in osteopathic manipulative treatment, OMT for short, where I use my hands to diagnose and treat musculoskeletal conditions which are causing pain and inflammation. I look forward to meeting you and being a part of your healthcare.
Hey everyone, did you know that the NCW Life Channel is North Central Washington's go-to source for news? No matter how you prefer to view your news, NCW Life has you covered. Watch the evening news weeknights on TV, stream it, read it at ncwlife.com, or catch the latest news by following us on Facebook. Stay informed with local news, sports, weather, and shows featuring local people and events. NCW Life, a reflection and a spotlight of the communities we call home.
Welcome back to Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. 23 degrees with some high clouds, a little bit of light snow today, 1 to 3 inches of snow overnight tonight into Thursday. Let's take a look at what's making news On this Wednesday morning, an 18-year-old man has been arrested for the online threat that led to the lockdown at Kashmir High School last Friday morning. Gerardo Tovar Medina of Wenatchee accused of posting, and I'm quoting now, "I was planning on shooting up the school," end quote. That was on a YouTube video about the school. The Chelan County Sheriff's Office said a search of Tovar Medina's home turned up drawings and notes indicating he had done research on past mass shootings and was, quote, planning or had a desire to commit a mass shooting at Kashmir High School, unquote. Tovar Medina booked for threats to bomb and to injure property. State troopers say charges are pending on an injury accident. This happened on Highway 2 about 3 miles west of Wenatchee last night, shortly before 9 o'clock. 30-year-old Seth Chambers of Seattle lost control of his Honda CRV. Chambers injured when the vehicle went through a guardrail and eventually struck a bridge pillar. He was transported to Confluence Health for treatment. Troopers say Chambers was driving under the influence. A 24-year-old man has been arrested for starting a fight at a Quincy bar, then firing 2 shots from a pistol in the parking lot. There were no injuries. This all happened about 1:30 in the morning on Saturday. Quincy police officers responding to reports of gunfire outside Tiki's Bar and Grill on Central Avenue. Shortly after, they spotted the vehicle being driven by the shooting suspect, and they arrested the driver, Manuel Garcia Pachenko, on several charges, including assault, aiming a firearm at another person, and driving with a suspended license. Police say witnesses reported Pachenko was first denied entrance in the bar because he had a concealed firearm. He reportedly took the gun to his vehicle, then he was allowed inside. At some point, according to the press release, Mr. Pachenko was involved in an altercation inside, was escorted outside by security, went to the vehicle, retrieved the firearm from earlier. This is all according to the police report. Witnesses stated that they observed Mr. Pachenko fire at least 2 times in the air and then left the scene. During a search of his 2018 Ford pickup truck, police said they found a pistol. He was later booked in a Grant County jail. A Brewster woman says she was scammed out of more than $200,000 by somebody claiming to work for Microsoft. Okanagan County Sheriff Tony Hawley is the person who talked about this. The unidentified woman reported the scam to the sheriff's office back on February 19th. He said somebody named Sam convinced her to make 3 wire transfers from her account to an account in India. The man first offered services for her computer, then convinced her he had inadvertently transferred money into her bank account. Then he threatened her until she made the 3 wire transfers to him. The sheriff's office says it is investigating. On an upcoming edition of the NCW magazine, we'll take a deeper look at the Horan House. The property, of course, is now facing demolition, possibly over the next couple of months. Our very own Caitlin Heddersheet gives us a history behind the historic home.
Nivio Tontini purchased the Horan property in the early 2000s, hoping to turn it into a bed and breakfast, but the fate remains uncertain.
I'm Nivio Tontini. We're at the Horan House, which I purchased in 2006. I grew up in Southern California and Riverside, California, and migrated to San Francisco while going to college. I became a child psychologist down there and worked with abused kids for a number of years. Finally burned out and needed a change in life and moved up here and became a builder. I loved the look of the house. I mean, it was a nice piece of property when I bought it. Still from the restaurant days, I'd been out here at the restaurant several times, but I'm a builder, and to me there was 2+ acres of land, so I had lots of thoughts of doing things with it. Possibly doing a B&B or an event center or other development. And as it turned out, nothing has happened over the years. I had a caretaker staying here watching the property, and that's where we're at. I always love the setting down here. I love to listen to the geese fly through. I've seen deer here. It's a pretty setting. You get noise from the highway up above, but other than that, it's very tranquil down here.
As he worked to maintain the Horan House, Tontini says he knew Mike Horan's legacy was significant in the Wenatchee Valley.
Apparently, he was a go-getter. He'd moved around quite a bit to different areas. I think he lived in Roslyn for a while, moved here. He was very well known for his methods of farming apples. There were no relics from that era still here other than the house itself. I love the gingerbread on the outside. Being a former carpenter, I marvel at the kinds of things they were able to do during that era with no electrical power. So I think a lot of that is something that's precious to me. And the windows have been taken out. They have an asbestos glaze on them, so I've had the asbestos guys in here looking at what needs to be done. But it's been about a 3-year period where I've been discussing moving the house with one lady here in town who owns a B&B, historical type B&B, and she has some property on Easy Street, and we just haven't been able to come to terms. The money isn't there for the kind of thing she wants done. I've met with Rory Turner and different groups about possibly moving the house, and I don't think that's going anywhere either at this time. I think if somebody has the money to try and restore it, I think it would be very worthwhile. The movers say it is movable, pretty spendy, but is movable. They'd have to cut off a section of the house to move it up the streets, and someone would have to provide a foundation to set it on, and then another $200,000 to $300,000 after that to do restoration. And if someone has that kind of desire, I hope they step forward.
Time to save the property is running out as Tontini begins to consider demolition.
I don't think I ever thought truly of putting in the kind of money it would take to restore this property to be habitable and to be worthwhile to the community. I'm more of a builder. I look at the land. I see the land's value. I see the possibility of condos down here, very nice quiet area. I guess if I can't get it moved, which it seems like I can't at this point, then my next step is to go through a demolition phase and to sell the property. I hate being seen as a bad guy if the house gets torn down. I think, but everything has its time. Like me, time is getting short.
Up next, we'll talk with Rory Turner, who took a special interest in helping attempt to save the historic home, along with several locals who cherish their memories with the property.
Good stuff. And again, that's an upcoming edition of the NCW Life magazine with Caitlin Hittersheet telling the story of the Horan House. You don't want to miss that. Check local listings. And of course, it'll be available on our website. Once it's all completed, you can check that out by going to ncwlife.com. While you're there, do some fishing around, point and click. It's a pretty good website. You can look at archived shows. You can look at whatever we have television at any one moment, whatever we're televising on the station, over the air, or on your local cable provider is also available on a live stream. You can also get a hold of us by going to the Contact Us button. You can find out what's going on with the calendar. Lots of things to do on our website, ncwlife.com. We also have a Facebook page. Check it out. You can send us a private message if you want to. Get a hold of us if you're out and about and you say, hey, what's going on there? Pick up the telephone, give us a call, send us an email, news@ncwlife.com. We'd love to hear from you. Don't forget the news with Grant Olson comes your way at 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and 10 o'clock. 5, 6, and 10. The news with Grant Olson are then available on our website at ncwlife.com. 19 minutes after the hour, we're going to take a break. When we come back, sports. You're watching Wake Up Wenatchee Valley on the NCW Life channel.
When Mike leaves town, it's a little scary. You never know who might be outside. But we feel safer inside knowing our home is being monitored by a local company. I can check our alarm from just about anywhere. So when we get home, I know it's safe.
Protect your family and save money with a local company. Switch your current security monitoring to Guardian Services from LocalTel. Call Guardian Security from LocalTel now or visit localtel.net to learn more.
I'm Jenny Rojanasatian, and this is Guada TV. Every week we will be bringing you a first look at North Central Washington business, tech, and education news. You'll hear from local influencers and innovators who live right here in the Valley. Together we'll discuss hot topics, current events, and resources that can support your business, our schools, and this community. Join me every week and let's get inspired.
Welcome back to this Wednesday edition of Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. I'm Dan Kuntz, 20 minutes after the hour. Let's do sports. Today's the day the real state tournament gets underway in basketball, both in Yakima and Spokane. Cashmere boys, they have a state 1A game today. They'll tip it off at 3:45. They'll take on Kingsway Christian. The Bulldogs, 17-6 after a rough loss to Zilla in the regional round last Saturday. Coach Levi Hayden says his young club has shown that they have the ability to bounce back and learn from their setbacks this season.
The losses we've had this year have actually helped us. I think, we lost a tough game at Royal, and we came back a few days later and got beat up at Omak. And those games really refocused our boys as far as we were able to watch the film and say, see, if you don't box out, if you don't play solid defense, this is what happens. And our boys refocused and really bought in at that point, and they started to see the importance of it. So we'll take a look at this for sure, and we'll say, see the difference between pressure and not pressure. So it's going to be a learning experience. Our kids are young, and they're kids.
Kingsway Christian, their opponent, they're 16-8 on the year. They were ranked 13th in the state's final RPI. The Knights coming off a 71-52 regional victory against Overlake. That's how they made the state tournament, by the way. So it is Kingsway Christian and Cashmere at the Sundome. Hayden says despite the loss to Zilla, Cashmere's ultimate goal is still reachable.
Our goals are still set to the top. We still have a chance to be number one. That's going to be our goal. And until that's not an option, then we move to the next goal. So, we're just going to keep pressing forward on Wednesday and see what happens.
3:45 is the tip-off again in Yakima. After that, Okanagan will play Bellevue Christian, by the way, at 7:15. Both games is a must-win. You win and you move on. You lose and you're done. Spokane's Veterans Memorial Arena, the site for the state 2B tournament, that begins today. Brewster girls, they face a loser-out game. They'll take on Rainier. Bears 19-4 on the season. They earn their way into today's game by beating Mabton by 2 points over the weekend. The Mountaineers, they're 21-3, and they're licking their wounds. They were slaughtered in the regional round by number 1 ranked Wahkiakum 74-13, but they still made state. Brewster and Rainier tip it up tonight at 9 o'clock. The Cashmere girls are going to have to wait till tomorrow when they play in the quarterfinals of the state 1A down at the Sundome. The Bulldogs won't have to wait too long to find out, however, as tomorrow's opponent will be decided this morning in the very first game of the tournament. Zilla and Annie Wright tip it off at 9 o'clock. By the way, historically, Cashmere is 2-0 when playing a 9 a.m. game at state. They're 3-1 overall when they play in the morning. The Brewster boys begin their journey at the state 2B tournament tomorrow. Bears will await the winner of today's game in Spokane, Orville, and Willapa Valley. Brewster will also play at 9 a.m. tomorrow morning. Our very own Eric Granstrom will make the trip down to Yakima. He's going to be following the Cashmere boys and girls and giving us constant updates. You'll be able to see highlights and reports on this very television station, on our Facebook page, and on our website at ncwlife.com. Go Bulldogs, drive safely, Eric. And those are just some of the games that people are playing at 23 minutes after the hour. The obscure holiday of the day today. Today's Polar Bear Day. It's always celebrated on February 27th. Polar bears have had a rough go of it lately. Their natural habitat is changing quicker than the polar bears can adapt. But I got some fun facts about polar bears. Polar bears are the largest species of bear in the world. They're the biggest. Even though they look white, the polar bear's fur is actually made of clear hollow tubes filled with air. That's how they stay warm. A group of polar bears is called a sleuth, although polar bears normally don't hang around much to each other. They're kind of loners. Unlike all the other bears, black bears and brown bears and grizzly bears, polar bears do not hibernate. They don't hibernate. However, they do sleep about 20 hours a day. It's not bad. Polar bears have no natural enemies. Humans are the only natural enemy, really, that polar bears have. Polar bears, their noses are so powerful they can smell a seal from 20 miles away. And maybe the most interesting fact about polar bears that I found on the internet, so you know it's true, almost all polar bears, like 95% of them, are left-handed. I wonder how they figured that out. Happy Polar Bear Day today. That's your obscure holiday, 25 minutes after the hour. Just one moment of history that caught my eye yesterday. This is the 68th anniversary of the 22nd Amendment to the Constitution from the New York Times. What was the 22nd Amendment to the Constitution? It means the president can only serve 2 terms. That's it. Congress passed it back in March 21st, 1947. They sent it off to the states. It was ratified by Minnesota became the requisite state that did it on February 27, 1951. Still don't know why they did this. I mean, you know, FDR killed the Depression, won a war. You know, that was too much for them, apparently. Anyway, president can only serve 2 terms, and that's it. Of course, members of the United States House of Representatives and the United States Senate are not limited by terms. If you want term limits for your congressional delegation in Washington, D.C., there's only one way to do it, and that's a constitutional amendment. Just put it in the Constitution. Heads up on that. Speaking of the Constitution, today is Hugo Black's birthday. As we transition to birthdays, the great Justice Hugo Black, one of my all-time favorites. Born in Clay County, Alabama back in 1886, passed away at the age of 85 in 1971. He was the senior Associate Justice of the United States Supreme Court longer than anybody in history, from 1946 to 1971. He was one of the last First Amendment absolutists. He and Bill Douglas, absolute. They believed in every book, every magazine, every newspaper, every motion picture, every recording, were completely protected by the First Amendment. He didn't believe in the clear and present danger test. He said that was a bunch of junk. Gravity of the evil, reasonableness, balance. He didn't believe in any of that stuff. The First Amendment is the First Amendment. Congress shall make no law. He meant it literally. And my favorite quote from Justice Black: I cannot consider the Bill of Rights to be an outworn 18th century straitjacket. The great Hugo Black, born in the state in 1886, and my favorite author of fiction anyway, John Steinbeck, born in the state in 1902, passed away at the age of 66 in 1968, always known for The Grapes of Wrath, East of Eden, Of Mice and Men, Cannery Row, the great travelogue, Travels with Charlie. John Steinbeck, one of the greatest writers this country ever produced, was born in this state 117 years ago. Read Steinbeck, he's good. Grapes of Wrath, my favorite novel of all time. All right, 27 minutes after the hour. Everybody's entitled to Mike McKnighty's opinion. That's coming up in just a couple of minutes. And then Cal FitzSimmons and his conversation with Senator Brad Hawkins will be coming up as well via Skype. It was taped yesterday, and you can watch that in just about 5-6 minutes. You're watching Wake Up in Wenatchee Valley on the NCW Life channel.
Walkabout Grill, open 7 days a week for lunch and dinner in downtown Wenatchee and now downtown Leavenworth, where eating out is eating healthy.
Put winter weather in its place with a new Cub Cadet snow thrower from Rose Tractor. Hi, this is Corey. Let us help you get through the season with our line of Cub Cadet snow throwers. When it comes to snow, never let winter weather get in your way. The Cub Cadet X Series line of snow throwers offers 3 levels of snow clearing power and a host of award-winning models. Get ahead of the snow. Let us help you get into the right snow thrower for the job. Rose Tractor, family owned and operated, located at the corner of 3rd and Rock Island Road in East Wenatchee.
I'm Tom from Alpine Air Heating and Cooling. At Alpine Air, we think of ourselves as customer service oriented retailers. When you make an appointment, please visit our store, meet our people, see our shop. We are serious about heating and air conditioning. Carrier and Alpine Air are offering huge factory rebates and financing options for all your needs. Turn to the experts at Carrier and Alpine Air. Call for your free replacement estimate. Heat and air, call Alpine Air, 662-6846.
Antique Mall at Cashmere wishes you a happy and prosperous new year. With 15,000 square feet to explore, Antique Mall at Cashmere has something for everyone. For repurposing projects, do-it-yourselfers, and those with a keen eye for making something old fresh and new again, this is the place to find your next project. Antique Mall at Cashmere, their friendly staff is here to help you. Stop on by today.
Since 1932, Camp Seneca, nestled on the beautiful shores of Lake Wenatchee, has provided children grades 1 through 12 with the ideal location for kids to learn new skills, have fun, and make friends while creating memories that will last a lifetime. Camp Seneca's rustic log cabins and their staff serve to provide each group a unique summer camp experience. Register for Camp Seneca today, www.campfirencw.org.
If you're stuck trying to find the perfect beer for you, look no further than Badger Mountain Brewing. We specialize in creating tantalizing craft beers that will soothe any picky taste buds and will satisfy your cravings. Check out everything from our amazing honey blonde that will appease even the most finicky taster, or a delicious frothy stout for dark beer lovers. Experience them all at Badger Mountain Brewing.
Hey, this is Mike Mad Dog McNaughty, and everybody is entitled to my opinion. Now, one of the many suggestions being kicked around to deter school shootings is improved mental health services. Well, I agree with that concept, that better identification of potential shooting perpetrators and the application of directed and subjective services to such individuals is definitely a step in the right direction. However, as with all suggestions to deter school shootings, better mental health services is a limited answer, as mental health counseling is only effective if the individual receiving the services wants to be helped. The old joke comes to mind. How many counselors does it take to change somebody? Or how does it take to change a light bulb is what I mean. Well, only one, but the light bulb has to want to be changed. I messed up that joke. But this is Mike Mad Dog McNaughty, and that's my opinion.
Hi, Justin here, owner of Club Crow Bar and Grill in Cashmere. Club Crow is your place for famous blues, brews, and barbecue. We are your one-stop bar and grill, serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner 7 days a week. Looking for a fun night out? Join us at Club Crow Saturday nights. We have live bands to rock the night away. Club Crow is bringing comedy to Cashmere. Check out our Facebook page for upcoming dates. Live jam session first Sunday of every month. Club Crow Bar and Grill in Cashmere, the coolest place in town.
It's estimated that 1/3 of Americans do not have a financial plan. At D.A. Davidson, their advisors are working to change that because they understand the importance of planning for the future. At D.A. Davidson, they believe in partnering together to build a strategy tailored to your needs. They spend the time and have the knowledge to help keep your financial future on track. Let D.A. Davidson Financial Advisors of Wenatchee put the strength of advice to work for you.
There's no substitute for the power of cable TV advertising. With Solion Cable TV advertising, you can reach your target audience right here in North Central Washington. We understand their viewing habits and can precisely target your customers on great cable networks like these. Call Solion Broadcasting today and let us show you how to put your business message right in front of thousands of prospects at a very affordable price. Solion Broadcasting, 509-888-2020.
Hi, I'm Kevin Prosser, and this is my print shop, Color Effects in Cashmere. Color Effects offers screen printing, embroidery, and digital printing on t-shirts, jerseys, bags, banners, signs, and more. With 30 years experience, you won't be disappointed with the quality and quick turnaround times you will get at more than a fair price. Please call Color FX.
Welcome, Senator Brad Hawkins, again to NCW Life. It's good to see you again.
Good to see you, Cal. Thanks for having me.
You bet. So things are starting to happen there in a lot of things that are very interesting. To me, I was kind of curious about this latest carbon tax proposal tied to the transportation budget. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I don't serve on the Transportation Committee, but that's a proposal by the chair, Steve Hobbs, out of the Snohomish County area. And every once in a while, probably every 5 to 10 years or so, the state produces a revenue gas tax type package. Some people just refer to it as the gas tax package, but in reality, it's more than a gas tax proposal. It usually has numerous fees and things like that associated with it. So it's referred to typically as a revenue package, and those are separate from our 2-year transportation budgets, which we approve every biennium. And in this case, Chair Hobbs is not only proposing an increase in the gas tax, he's proposing a carbon fee in addition to that, because in the past, some of the proposals related to carbon would not have invested those revenues into transportation projects. And Senator Hobbs is very interested in, if there is going to be any sort of carbon fee advanced through the legislature, that the revenues be put towards transportation projects. And so Chair Hobbs has various proposals with the gas tax, with the carbon fee, fees on electric vehicles, I think even a fee on bicycles, and a collection of all those revenues. And then over time, there are significant multi-million-dollar investments in our transportation system statewide. And those include, for example, a new bridge across the Columbia River to Oregon, which many of the Southwest Washington legislators are very interested in. There is an investment in electrifying some of our ferry fleet in Western Washington. And there's a whole host of other large-scale transportation improvements, included of which are some projects for the Wenatchee area. I invited Chair Hobbs to come to visit our area in November, last November, prior to the session, because I sort of anticipated the possibility that he might be trying to advance something large scale this session. And so he did visit us. He learned a lot about the projects, took a tour of our transportation needs in the Wenatchee Valley, and then he has incorporated some of those into this package.
Well, I think in the past, voters have shown that they're not necessarily opposed to raising the gas tax for transportation projects. But at the same time, the voters have shown more than once that they're not in favor of imposing a carbon tax. Do you think it's palatable to lump the two together and not go against the will of the voters?
I don't believe this proposal by Chair Hobbs is viable this session. I think many of us believe it's, in a way, a conversational starter, but I think Chair Hobbs feels that anything is possible. There are some, as I mentioned, some significant investments to be made in our transportation infrastructure. There's also been a recent court decision related to culverts for fish that are currently blocking some fish passage opportunities. And so the state really needs to generate some revenue to do these things. In the past, there's just been this large reliance on the gas tax as the revenue source, but with the proliferation of electric vehicles, hybrid vehicles, more fuel efficient vehicles, there is actually a little bit less gas consumed over time. And so the state either needs to increase those taxes, drive down the cost of the transportation projects, or find some additional source of revenue. And I think perhaps, I can't speak for Senator Hobbs, perhaps that's what he's trying to do. He foresees the possibility of some sort of carbon fee at some point in the future, and he wants to make it known that if there is going to be one, whether it's this session or in future sessions, that the revenues get redirected to transportation projects. You know, one of the things, though, just sort of, I want to keep it real for your viewers, is that we do have major transportation needs in our state and in our area. So in the Wenatchee area, for example, the Confluence Parkway project, the bridge across the Wenatchee River, and the additional roadway there into Old Station, that project alone is estimated to cost $113 million. It's one of the projects that's included in this particular package. There's also a McKittrick underpass, which I think is estimated at $25 million in Wenatchee. There is the Wenatchee Landing Interchange, which goes from the Old Station Bridge into Douglas County and provides a much needed interchange there. I think that's estimated to be $21 million. The city of Wenatchee has also identified a $4 million pedestrian overpass that connects the South Wenatchee area neighborhoods to the existing loop trail infrastructure. And in addition to that, that's all just sort of the Wenatchee Valley, the Chelan-Douglas Transportation Council priorities. But in addition to that, we have a number of bridges in the Methow Valley, which is the northern portion of the 12th district that I represent, that the bridges there are in significant need of repair and replacement. Most of the bridges were built, the ones between Pateros and Twisp, between the 1930s and the 1950s. And there's 11 bridges total, and they're all in some state of need of repair or replacement. And I think the estimated cost is in the neighborhood of $100 million just for those. So I wanted to keep it real for the listeners. I know people don't like a gas tax, and they don't like the increase or other taxes, and I don't either. But at some point, if our state wants to make significant investments in our transportation system, and if we want new additional projects in Chelan and Douglas counties and the Wenatchee area and in the Methow, we at the state utilize the revenues from the revenue package to fund those projects. The large multi-million-dollar transportation investments that fund new additional projects are not items that can be squeezed into our existing transportation budget. The existing 2-year transportation budget funds projects that have been previously approved in revenue gas tax packages, and it also funds operational costs for our transportation related agencies like the State Patrol, Department of Licensing, and the Department of Transportation. So it's really just a matter of if at some point, probably not this session, but in future sessions, if our district is going to support a gas tax proposal, for example, then how much are we paying in and how much are we getting back for projects? And is the return on the investment there? And what are the costs of some of the transportation projects? Are there reforms that can be put forward that drives down the cost and helps extend those taxpayer dollars further? So those are all key questions that I'll be asking if this proposal advances or if any proposal advances in future sessions.
Okay, Brad, we'll look forward to your answers on that when they come, should you get the answers you're looking for. I also wanted to talk about SB 5873, which you co-sponsored, a community forest bill that would provide grants for purchases of property. I watched the hearing last week on that you had, and I saw we had some locals over there testifying. You want to talk a little bit about that, Brad, where it's at? And
Yeah, so that's the community forest bill. It was brought to me, the original concept was brought to me by the Chelan Douglas Land Trust, and as you may know, they've been working diligently for a number of months to acquire the Nason Ridge forest land area in Lake Wenatchee. It's about 3,700 acres of forest land. It was scheduled to be clear-cut by Weyerhaeuser, but fortunately Weyerhaeuser was very gracious in working with our locals to allow a third party to transfer ownership to another party so we could try to appropriately manage that area for a variety of values, not just forest health, which is very important. That area needs forest health treatments, not necessarily clear cuts, but forest health treatments. There's also some aquatic and fish important resources there, and outdoor recreation. So currently the property is owned by the Western Rivers Conservancy, and they purchased it from Weyerhaeuser, but only sort of on a temporary interim basis. And so we're looking for a local owner. The Chelan Douglas Land Trust, in just a matter of months, has raised over $1.3 million as a down payment towards the purchase of Nason Ridge. And I'm working with our county commissioners and the DNR to figure out who, if not the Western Rivers Conservancy, would be an appropriate owner in the long term for the Nason Ridge area. The bill itself originally contemplated setting up a grant program where if there were matching dollars locally, then the state would potentially match some of that so that property could be acquired and transferred locally. I did receive some feedback from folks who testified at the committee, and I've restructured the bill to create a pilot project, 3 different pilot projects, of which Nason Ridge would be one. And those pilot projects would be, they would sunset after 6 years, but the funding, if it's secured in the bill, would fund the pilot projects. Nason Ridge could be transferred to another owner, and then over the 6 years of the pilot, then we at the state would be able to determine whether that is a viable model for these community forests, the sense that local ownership and local management of a resource like this is a viable option. Currently in statute, there is a match program for community forests, but it's a 50-50 split. And the bill that I'm proposing for the pilot projects is a 15% match and potentially up to an 85% state-funded commitment. And that is a match that is feasible based on the money that the Chelan Douglas Land Trust has already raised. And so that bill, the pilot project concept, as I amended it to, successfully passed the Natural Resources Committee in the Senate. It was actually approved unanimously and is now, because it has a fiscal impact, before the Senate Ways and Means Committee, and it's scheduled for a hearing this Friday. And this Friday, I believe, is the cutoff for bills to advance out of their fiscal committees if they have a fiscal impact. So this next week is going to be really important for that particular bill.
Interesting. And my understanding is the purchase overall is just over $5 million. And so the 1.3 that they've raised clearly would be more than the 15% needed under that program.
Well, I think actually it's for Nason Ridge itself, it's less than that. It could be 4.5. But for the other projects that are involved in the bill and some administrative costs of the DNR, it ends up being about a $5 million fiscal impact.
I see. Okay. So other things in the legislature, we have the plastic bag ban. I see that's changed a little bit. I guess they're going to allow grocery stores to charge 10 cents for a paper bag should people need a bag. Where's that thing going? Is that, I know you're not on that committee either, but you must have a sense for, we're going to have a plastic bag ban in Washington State, aren't we, Brad?
I think that's quite possible. We have bills for that in both the House and the Senate. The bill has not come before the Senate yet, but now we're transitioning out of the time where we've been spending most of the first part of the session in our committees. And now since we're passing these key cutoff dates in the legislative calendar, we're now advancing to the full Senate to not only hear the bills that we worked on in our own committees, but to hear the bills that successfully cleared the other committees. So that's just one of the many bills. There's a few different bills that I believe will have already generated significant conversation across the state and in our district. The plastic bag bill, of course, is one of them, but we just briefed a bill that came out of the Senate Education Committee related to comprehensive statewide sex education in our schools. And one of my Democratic colleagues is proposing mandating comprehensive sex education across the state and requiring the Office of Superintendent of Public Instruction to develop curriculum statewide and then making it mandatory for all 295 school districts in the state to implement that sex education. So that I think is going to be a real interesting debate and discussion as it comes before the Senate floor. We also have received a significant amount of communications related to a vaccine bill. You probably heard about the measles outbreak in Southwest Washington and Clark County. It's starting to spread to King County, but Washington State is one of 18 states in the United States that allows a personal exemption for vaccines in addition to a religious exemption. And there have been many stakeholders and parents that have concerns about the state forcing them to vaccinate their children. But I also hear from healthcare practitioners about the importance of having a high vaccination rate in the community. According to the healthcare practitioners, if the vaccination rate is above 95% in any one community, then there's what's called, they've achieved herd immunity or community immunity to things like the measles. And the measles is actually pretty common in other countries. And the only reason it's not common here is because there's such a high vaccination rate for the MMR vaccine, the measles, mumps, and rubella. But with the outbreak in Southwest Washington and all the kids attending public schools and things like that, there's a push by some bipartisan legislators in the House, at least, to remove that personal exemption for vaccinations. And that's created a lot of interest. And we also have a clean energy bill potentially coming before the full Senate this week that I'm working closely with folks at Chelan PD and Steve Wright to try to secure a floor amendment that would appropriately acknowledge our hydropower resources in north central Washington and make sure that the treatment of hydropower is on par with other non-hydro renewables like wind and solar. So we're working on that. There's also the school levies and school bonds and a host of other important bills that we're likely to debate in the next couple of weeks.
Well, that's all very interesting, and I'm sure people in your district are paying close attention to many of those issues. On the vaccination question, I was curious to know where you come down on the idea of the government mandating something like that to a parent versus health officials saying this is important. I mean, a personal exemption, I can see no reason to have any requirement if you're going to allow a personal exemption. It seems pretty easy to get around it, but where do you come down on that, Brad?
Well, a good question, Cal. So for me personally, I'm very pro-vaccine. I have no issues getting vaccinated, no issues vaccinating my kids. I'm eager to do it. I get my flu shot every year, but I don't believe it's appropriate for the state to force people to vaccinate their kids. I think that's problematic. I think potentially very traumatic. I think about what it takes to get my kids their flu shots every year, and my wife and I have to bribe our kids with extensive video game time in order to accomplish that. But we get it done every year. So, but just the thought of what we'd be putting our kids through, forcing our kids to do that, and then if the parents, some of the constituents have written me with 2-page communications of concerns that they have fears of the vaccinations and their personal belief against it. And so while I want to reach that community immunity, I just don't feel that government should be subjugating parental rights. So I know where I'll be voting on that bill. But like anything, I try to keep an open heart and an open mind. I want to hear from both sides. And on that particular issue, for example, I hear from both sides regularly in my emails and in my office visits. And so it's important to hear from a diverse set of opinions, and then hopefully in my heart make a decision that I feel is in the best interest of our state.
Okay, Brad. Well, as always, it's been a pleasure talking with you again, and I look forward to continued discussions. Things are really picking up speed there. And thank you again for being on.
Yeah, thank you, Cal. They're definitely picking up speed. It will be interesting to see how the next few weeks play out. So far, things have been very cordial on the Senate floor, but I have a feeling that things are going to heat up when some of these sticky issues get brought before us. And so hopefully next time we chat, I can give you an update, not just on my own pieces of legislation, but some of these significant statewide issues that we're going to be debating here soon.
Sounds good. Thanks again, Brad.
Yeah. Thanks, Cal.
Hey everyone, Fletcher and Amy Ellington here from Live It Up. In the investment world, ROI stands for Return on Investment. Well, how does better health, better wealth, and better relationships sound for ROI? Join us every week right here on NCW Life and learn how to invest in the most important asset, you.
We're going to answer your questions and provide some weekly inspiration so you can create a life that you love. Join us on Live It Up.
What's your auto mocha emergency?
It's a Frappuccino mocha with whip.
The espresso shakes are my most favorite because I can get any flavor. Peanut butter chocolate Frappuccino.
Definitely the espresso shakes.
My favorite is the mocha Frappitas.
A peach Red Bull.
I'm working today.
I have got some work to do today.
Don't forget, I've got some work for you today.
Have a good first day at work, Mom.
Thanks.
Your donations to Goodwill fund job training programs right in our community.
New beginnings feel great, don't they?
Yes, they do.
Be a job creator. Goodwill. There's more behind the store.
And welcome back. By the way, Cal's interview with Brad Hawkins is something we're going to do throughout the legislative session pretty much every other Wednesday. There might be some small exceptions to that, but we're going to have that a regular part of this program through the legislative session. Cal and Brad communicating via Skype. All right, a couple minutes left of the program. Let's take a look at that weather forecast one more time from the National Weather Service. And there you go. The story today. A pretty decent storm system is going to arrive overnight tonight and spill into Thursday morning. Today is going to be pretty quiet. It's tonight that we're keeping a close eye on. We are going to get some snow in the Wenatchee Valley. In fact, we have a slide from the National Weather Service that they sent us down the line here a couple hours ago to let you know exactly how much snow we're going to get. Take a look. This is for Thursday, basically in the overnight hours. And the area that's really going to get hammered is the Omak-Okanagan Republic area. The farther north you go, the deeper the blue color, the more snow that you see here in the Wenatchee Valley. We could get upwards of 3 inches beginning overnight tonight, in the evening hours, and then as you're sleeping, it will be snowing. So anywhere from 1 to 3 inches of snow possible by the time you get up and get going on Thursday morning. So tomorrow morning's commute could be a little on the dicey side. And the other big story continues to be these very chilly temperatures. High today of only about 30 degrees, 22 for the overnight low tonight. All of the temperatures throughout the course of this week into the weekend, which by the way welcomes March, and even into all of next week. They're saying through March 10th, 11th, 12th, our temperatures, our high and low temperatures will be well below normal. Yesterday's high was 25 degrees, and that was 21 degrees below where we should be this time of year. Our normal afternoon high on February 26, 27, 28 is around 46 degrees. We only got to 25 yesterday. Overnight low is 14. Can't seem to bust out of this of these cold temperatures every day in the month of February. Every day, the high temperature has either been below normal or very well below normal. It's kind of crazy. My guests tomorrow, Wake Up Wenatchee Valley, Joel Norman and Allie Shank for the Wenatchee Apple Sox. Getting ready for another successful season. Looking forward to talking with Allie and Joel. They'll be my guests tomorrow. And then Art Checker talking wild hockey on Friday. Everybody have a great Wednesday. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.